Hi, I'm Kate Trafford. I'm a personal development trainer and coach, and I help people to achieve effortless success. How do I do that? Through a simple but powerful metaphor: driving. In fact, if you know how to drive, you already know almost everything you need to know to get the results you want in your life and have a whole lot of fun along the way. Now, I know what you're probably thinking as you hear that. If you're anything like most of my busy clients, you've got a pile of work commitments demanding your attention. You're running from one commitment to the next with barely the chance to grab a breath in between, and the time you dedicate to your work feels like it's taking you away from your family and the other things that are important to you, and sometimes the reverse can even be true. And that's before we even start to talk about how little time you seem to get for yourself, just to enjoy the journey. But if you've ever driven a car that's fitted with cruise control, you'll know. It takes a little bit of getting used to at first, but after a while it feels fantastic to know you just have to steer and everything else can happen automatically. So over the next few minutes, I'd like to share with you a story and one action that you can take straight away that will help to set you up for effortless success in your life. So my good friend Caroline was driving her car down the motorway. That's a freeway or a highway for my American friends. And as she was driving down the motorway, she had to move out into the fast lane to overtake a very long truck. As she was doing so, what she didn't see and what she couldn't have seen was that another vehicle in the slow lane had hit a whole row of traffic cones and sent them flying into the road. In fact, one of those cones was standing upright right in the centre of Caroline's lane. Well, with the truck on one side and the central barrier on the other, she had nowhere to go and no time to stop. So she did the only thing she could do in that moment. She focused on the space in between the cone and the barrier, and she tried to get through the gap. She didn't make it. Her car hit the barrier at full speed and at such an awkward angle that it actually was launched into the air and flew straight across that central barrier, straight into 3 lanes of oncoming traffic. To make matters worse, there were also roadworks on the other side of the road, and there was only a small gap on the other side in which to stop safely. She did make it. In fact, the police officer who attended the scene, he listened to Caroline and her explanation. He looked at the road markings. He listened to the witnesses who'd missed her by just a few feet. And he looked at her car, parked neatly, albeit the wrong way, on the other side of the road. And he said to her, "This is a miracle. You are lucky to be alive." Now, I first heard about this a few days later when Caroline came along to a talk I was giving. And I said to her, "Caroline, how did you do that?" And she said, "I really didn't do anything. All I remember is focusing on the space in between that cone and the barrier. And as the car flew into the air, I was still focusing on the space. I spotted the space on the other side, and then the next thing I knew, I was parked safely." Now, do you think, if we'd asked Caroline before that situation, if she could please deliberately launch her car at full speed across a central barrier, straight into 3 lanes of oncoming traffic with closing speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour, to actually park neatly on the other side in a small gap that she'd say she could do that? Of course not. A Hollywood stunt driver probably wouldn't take that one on. But you see, she did do it. And we're all capable of so much more than what we think. But you don't have to wait for a crisis in order to discover what you're capable of. I invite you to take out a pen and a piece of paper right now and write down the one thing that you would most like to experience in your life, the one thing that you'd most like to aim for and create. And I invite you to look at what you've written down many, many times over the next few days. In fact, many times from now on. You see, you don't have to think about how you're going to achieve it. All you have to do is know where you're heading. That's what's going to put some fuel in your tank. That's what's going to lead you to take the inspired actions that will get you there. That's what's going to make achieving this miracle in your life easy, effortless, and enjoyable. And that is cruise control for life.